post both links.
Post both videos, yeah.
Okay, I just started the broadcast. So.
Okay. Is it good for everyone now this time?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Okay, so just to pick up where we left off, again, we're just kind of pointing out things that we read in the chapter and how the therapist applied those things throughout his session with the family.
Well, one thing in the chapter, it talks about clarifying ambiguity, and that's where all the family members have an understanding of the crisis and what they've been told by whom and what they believe deep down. So, like, I feel like the therapist did a really good job at figuring out what each person in the family felt deep down, even though the family members themselves didn't know what other people were feeling, kind of thing. I thought he did a really good job at clarifying those things with the family.
Yeah, he did link everything, like with the mother saying that, or how the son, Jimmy, he was like, I feel like nobody cares. And then how that had a deeper meaning, or him leaving the house had a deeper meaning of, well, he's leaving the house because of a reason. It's because he don't care. He feels people didn't care, but that was something no one else in the family knew or even understood or even thought of until that therapist was the one that pointed it out and said it.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think a lot of people do that because you don't want to go around saying how you really feel, because I think a lot of people sometimes try to hide their emotions because they don't want to seem too sensitive, or like you pointed out, guys often retreat. I don't know if you feel that same way, Michael, but
yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Yeah, when guys feel a certain way, they go on drives or get away from their situation.
They have their little compartments, and they just want to stay in their little compartments, yeah.
Yeah, and like women just want to keep it all up front, and like I just want to address it. So he was really good at pointing that out and making it known to the family too, that listen, what you're doing isn't like completely crazy. You know, it's a known scientific fact that this is the way that people react. So
yeah, it's good.
I think that would also help the family feel like this is a situation that they can handle and deal with, and not like it's some unique, horrible situation that they're in, but something that a lot of families go through and are able to kind of conquer.
Yeah.
Yeah, something that I like he did was assessing everyone's strengths and vulnerabilities, because in those situations you are very vulnerable by going to see a therapist and saying, listen, we have problems and we can't kind of fix them on our own. So when he addresses those and like kind of commends them for doing that and seeking after that help, it does create an environment that they're more open and willing to share, which at the conclusion of their session he talked about, like, how did you feel coming in here and compared to how do you feel now?
Right, yeah. So. I think they did a really good job at that.
Mm-hmm. Does anybody else have anything else?
I liked when so I thought that a lot of, he did good with, this is how okay, sorry. Let me start over. So I thought that he did reframing and relabeling a lot, at least from what I understand. So they'd say something and be like, so is this what you're really feeling? And they'd be like, yeah. Mm-hmm. But so that's what, like, the quote that I wrote down was, how would you, he said this a lot, how would you put this in your own words? So he'd have them for example, he's having the sister tell the brother, like, tell him how you really feel, and she's like, so I thought that was, he helped them like understand their own feelings, and by reframing what they're saying so that they're saying it in a way that the rest of the family can understand, because I feel like none of them knew how anybody else is feeling. They're like not communicating at all.
Yeah, and kind of just to go along with that, I thought he did a really good job at like helping them understand how their actions affect the other family members, and and he put like their actions into words into like how they're feeling and stuff. So like when the mom was like freaking out because and yelling at her son, for staying out late and not telling them where he was, he helped them understand, or helped the son understand that she did that because she was worried about him and stuff like that. I thought he did a really good job with that.
Along those same lines, I thought it was kind of interesting how he would take what one person was saying and, like you said, Emily, kind of define that, but then take it to the person that they were talking about. So, like in that situation that you said, Katie, where the dad was frustrated about the mom being so, what was it, emotional and kind of crazy when she got mad. And then he took that to the mom and was like, is that true? Do you agree that you've been acting a little, I forgot what the word he used, but out of it? And she's like, yeah. And so I feel like that interaction made kind of everyone be on the same level, and the person that it's about not get offended because they agreed with what has been said so far. Does that make sense? And so no one like left taking offense or being hurt, but they all were on the same level and agreed on everything. I thought that was an important point.
I think
Yeah,
that
and I
has
like. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Sorry, I was just this quote I have in the chapter. It says, "Reducing negative chain reactions," and I think that is what you just described. He helped them not, because I felt like they were in a circle, like the casual circularity. I don't know if that was this class or another class, but they kept like she's worried about him, so she's getting mad, and so but he's leaving because she's mad at him and doesn't think he likes him, and so he leaves, and then it just goes in circles.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I was gonna say. The therapist, when he's talking to him, he tells him, hey, like you already mentioned, I think it was Josephine, maybe it's Josie. Anyway, having them put it into their own words, kind of what they were feeling, and it helps them to realize exactly what they are feeling when they put it into words. Because I know a lot of times with me, when I'm doing things, I'm like, oh, this is how I feel. And then, if somebody is like, well, tell me why you were upset, and then I talk about it, I'm like, oh, that's really not why I was upset. I was upset because of this. And so I think talking about it definitely helps open up your perspectives and helps you understand why you feel the way you do.
Yeah, on that same line, I often catch myself. I don't know what I'm feeling or what I'm thinking or why I feel a certain way until I'm actually talking to someone about it. And so going to therapy and as a family, I think that brings out so many, I don't know, things that you wouldn't normally ever notice or discover about yourself and one another in addition to yourself.
Yeah.
And that can bring a lot of harmony in the family just by that, I think.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys realize this as well. Something that I kind of caught on was they were there, they felt mainly because of Jimmy, but one thing that I noticed that was kind of present was the absence of the father that was in their home, and how the connectedness between the kids and their dad and the mom and the father was something that seemed like a little bit of an issue that I don't think the therapist really addressed at this time. Again, it's probably something that if the family doesn't see it as a problem, it's not something that you need to address because it's what their issues are, not what you think they are. But having him take the time to have the husband turn to the wife and be like, okay, do you want to go out on a date with me this weekend on this day at Texas Roadhouse? I think that was something that was important for them to get brought up, because even Jimmy mentioned, like, why does it matter where I am? Like, my dad's not even here, so when he comes home, it doesn't matter because, we don't know where their father is. So I think that was something that was important for him to note out and try and build again.
Yeah.
And maybe along those same lines, if if Jimmy sees his dad gone all the time, then what's keeping him from leaving? And which is maybe one reason why it's okay to leave and to be gone and kind of his mom. I don't know, just that.
Well, yeah, I mean, you definitely pick up the habits of your parents as well, because when the therapist asked the dad and the mom, like, what were things that your parents did with you when it came time for you to, like, become an adult and stuff, and the dad made a comment like, well, my parents weren't even involved really that much in my life, and they're not involved in their grandkids' lives. So it's a matter of seeing behavior and wanting to change it as well. So that was something, too, that was pointed out to me.
Yeah.
Does anybody have any more things that they felt or saw from the reading and stuff?
He did a good job. The text talked about using a timeline to track the momentum. Anyway, so he would go back and be like, so when this happened, like, so I guess the main problem they're talking about was Jimmy not being home. So he'd be like, so when Jimmy was gone, like, what happened, and what happened before when you said, like, when they were talking about how Jimmy was different, and so they talked about his sister, like, okay, well, think about back then and what happened. How was Jimmy different back then? Anyway, so he used a timeline. I don't know if that made sense.
Yeah. One thing, too, I think that's important is that for the family to be understanding and flexible. That's something that he pointed out with his sister, to say, like, Jimmy isn't going to be that same person anymore because he's not, 15, 14 years old. He's a young adult now, and he has to start making decisions. So as a younger sister, you kind of have to be flexible and understanding with, you can't necessarily expect the same things out of this person anymore. That it's not that he's completely changing who he is, it's just that he's growing up, and unfortunately that's a part of life, is that people do change. So that was...
One thing I thought was pretty interesting that the therapist did, when he was talking to the whole family, he kind of explained that Jimmy was the focus, obviously, but he said he related it to his own family, and he said, there's a lot of things in my family that we don't do right, or that we stress about or that we worry about, and I think it made them feel comfortable, and that helped them open up a little more. And so they were able to kind of talk more openly about the things. And I think we talked about that in the beginning a little bit, just opening up and feeling comfortable. But I thought that was interesting how he did that.
Yeah, and then something else I thought that was really good for the therapist to do when towards the end, when he was trying to help them, like, set some goals and stuff, he, like, how the dad and the kid and Jimmy used to go on car rides and just talk, and he, like, challenged them to do that again. And I think that would be really helpful to try and do something that you're familiar with instead of trying to, like, start something you're not as comfortable with, or does that make sense? Like, it would help them be more willing to move forward and take steps to resolving their issues with each other, I think.
Well, yeah, that's kind of like in the beginning when he asked them what their interests are, and Jimmy's was the skate park, and he made a suggestion about them doing that first. The dad didn't seem too interested in that, so that's when he made the suggestion of the car ride, that they would both enjoy doing something like that together.
Yeah.
Which I think that has to go with the adopting a positive, future-oriented focus. That's from the text. is an example of him giving them those little goals and then saying at the end, now if these things don't work, then we can change and adapt them to be something more successful. So.
Yeah.
Yep. How do you guys feel he did with building the relationships between the family members?
Well, he, like you were just saying, he gave them goals, like to get together, do more get-togethers, like one-on-one, like the dates, and then even with, I liked what he was saying about what he said to them, like the sister and brother, how they should, like, he's like, do you guys think you guys could go get a soda and talk about what it's like to be a senior and graduate or whatever. So I think that would really help build their relationships. And he kind of mentioned doing family councils. He didn't really say it like that, but he said that they should get together as a family and talk about how they're doing and what they could do better. And so I think that really helps the relationship too.
Yeah. I know he's really empathetic and like brought empathy, I think, to everyone to be a little bit more understanding of each other. Like one thing I didn't really think about until the father said was that how it was important to him that the things his wife was feeling affected him somehow, because he is a father and a husband. And so that relationship needed to be recognized to the kids. Like it's not only a strain that is between the kids and the father, but the mother and the father as well. So that's something that I think was important to realize, and for the mother and father, because they said the only time they had talking to each other was mainly about them arguing, which is why he needed them to go out on a date and just not even talk about Jimmy or have anything to do with arguing. So.
Yeah, just kind of going along with that, I think it was really smart of him to suggest things to, because it sounds like their whole lives revolve around Jimmy's issues and stuff. So I think it's super important that they do things that aren't related to his problems or whatever, getting their mind off of it, so that when they do go back and think about it, they've had some time to like clear their thoughts about how they're feeling and be able to express themselves in a way that's not always so stressful or I guess heated, I guess.
Yeah, well, the therapist made a comment in the beginning too, saying, Jimmy, you have a lot of power here. So I don't think he realized he did either until the therapist mentioned that.
Yeah.
Okay. Are there any other comments or things that people want to point out?
I was kind of just thinking about, in a way, the process of trying to gather my thoughts. The therapist pointed out issues that were in the family, and made them, in a way, talk about them. Well, that's obviously why they're there. But I think without laying everything open and kind of getting those issues, being able to talk about them and getting them out of yourself, if that makes sense, can help those relationships be reestablished and for you to be reconnected, because when there's still that tension and that heated situation, I guess, going on, then there's no room for empathy and there's no room for understanding and love for one another, because you're so stressed about everything. And so I guess just the process of him kind of talking about it, bringing it out into the open and letting it dissolve. Not that the problems were taken away, but just kind of dissolved a little bit more, and they were able to restart their relationships with one another.
It kind of helps them like refocus on
Yeah.
Like instead of, because you know when you're like stuck on something, you're just like their emotions are so high, you're not really able to think through it kind of clearly. But if you kind of step back from it, then you're able to better focus on what's really important.
Yeah.
Okay. Excellent. Well, does anyone have any more last comments about the therapy session? Okay, I think we have to agree on doing the summary now.
Yeah, I think we're supposed to work on that together.
Oh, really? I just jotted down, because that was supposed to be my job, right? I just jotted down. I was just typing. That's why I was like in and out, because I was trying to type what people were saying. So I can read it to you. I don't know if it'll make much sense right now, because I was going to go back and make it make more sense.
Yeah.
So what do you
I
want me to
trust
do?
you.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, it just says in the last 15 minutes, just share it and then revise it if you need to, which I'm sure you're just doing the bullet points or something. So
Yeah, it's like most of them, it's not even full sentences. So do you want me just to say it to write what, just say what I have written down?
Yeah, that works.
yeah.
Okay. So at the beginning we summarized the case. I didn't write it all down, but so there's a family of 4 that moved to Rexburg, and anyways, and then we talked about how we liked how the therapist was finding out what they were interested in and putting himself in each other in their shoes, so that they could feel accepted, and helping them feel accepted in any way they presented themselves. We talked about how the therapist was clarifying ambiguity. I can't say that.
Ambiguity.
So all, yeah.
Yeah.
So all the families have an understanding of the crisis. The therapist did a great job of figuring out how everyone felt deep down, and sometimes they didn't even know themselves, which we talk about later too. So I'm gonna have to condense it, I think. So Jimmy felt like nobody cared, and he left the house because he felt like nobody cared. So there's like a deeper meaning for why he was leaving the house. Then we talked about how guys often retreat from feelings, while women are better at expressing feelings and addressing the feelings, like they did, like this family did. The women were both addressing it, and the men were both moving away from it. And then we talked about how it was like a scientific fact, and that helps them realize that it's a kind of normal thing that families go through, and that it's something that they can deal with and they can conquer, and they shouldn't feel like they can't do it. He assessed everyone's strengths and vulnerabilities, and when he addressed them, he helped them create an environment where that's more open and they were more willing to share. He helped them reframe how they were feeling so that everybody understood how they were feeling. He helped them put their actions into words. He helped his son understand that his mom kind of freaked out at him because she was worried about him, which was it was causing them to go in circles. Yeah, a lot of this is kind of, so they help them put things into their own words, what they're feeling, helping them realize what they're feeling, talking about it helped them open up their perspective, and helping them realize what they were feeling even though they didn't. Sorry.
You did great.
So we talked about how therapy helps you understand yourself more, and that helps you understand others more. And we talked about how at the beginning they felt like they were mainly there because of Jimmy, but then they realized there's a lot more issues that were brought up during therapy, like the absence of their father not being there. And his father even realizes from his past that his family wasn't around much, and so he has to see that behavior and want to change it in order for it to be effective in his family. We talked about how they all need to be flexible because they're all going through changes, especially Jimmy since he's getting out of school. His sister can't expect him to be the same. Anyways, okay, and then he helped them set goals and challenged them to spend time one-on-one. And they started with something you're comfortable with, which was a future-oriented focus. They started with small goals, and if that doesn't work, then they can adapt them to be more successful. And he helped them build relationships by talking about one-on-one time and family councils and helping them feel empathy. And they helped them realize that all their emotions affect each other, that the strain's just not on Jimmy, but the strain that is on the whole family and every relationship. Yeah, and then the last thing we talked about was helping the family talk about their problems, really get their feelings out in the open, which helped them refocus and restart their relationships and that they were able to rebuild. And that's it. Sorry, that probably didn't make much sense, but I was planning on going through it again and condensing it. I just wanted to get out most of it.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good start, so I think it sounds good.
Agreed.
That's
So
good.
then, Josephine, they're going to send you the YouTube links and the summary, and then she's the only one that has to turn it in for all of us?
Perfect. Yeah, I'll
I
do
think
that for sure.
that's,
Okay.
that's right.
We just each have to do our evaluation, though, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yeah.
Is there a link for that, or what did?
For the evaluation?
Or did
for...
we just like write it down, or?
There's a thing that we have to turn in for it. The self-evaluation is all we have to do, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, so just Josephine's gonna turn in the summary and the links. I'll just put the links on the summary, and then I think
I'll just email the link to in that email that the whole group is in. That way, whoever wants it can have it.
Okay. So when was the last Lime? Never mind.
Wait,
I figured it out. Sorry, I'm retarded. There's just a little. I see it. The simulated family therapy session self-evaluation. Got it.
Oh, yeah.
Got it.
Okay.
So, I also have to submit our names, right? Everyone who participated?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Do I include Josie, the other Josie? Because she was going to be a part of our group, or?
I
I think you
would.
can and just say she didn't show up.
Yeah, that's probably what I would do.
Okay, perfect.
So. Alright.
So is that
Well, sounds good.
Okay.
So, Emily, you have my email address, right? Is she there? Okay. I just wanted to make sure I would get everything so I could submit it.
She's gone.
It's on a group email that I sent to everyone. Hers should be on there as far as the
Okay.
DYU emails, so.
Right,
Okay.
yeah.
Perfect. So I'll just wait for those and get those submitted.
Okay.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah. You can tell the way it is because of that way.
Okay.
Alright.
All right. Well, everyone have a good night.
You too. Thanks for everything, guys. You're awesome.
Alright. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.